They tell you that time is a river, but they lie. When you reach 95, you realize time is a thief, a silent, polite thief that steals your life while you are busy planning for tomorrow that was never promised. I am 95 years old today. My skin, it feels like old thin parchment that might tear if the wind blows too hard. My bones, they are brittle and cold, like stones at the bottom of a winter lake. For 95 long years, nearly a century of breathing, I truly, honestly believed I was ready to meet my Maker. I lived what every person in my small, quiet town called a perfect life. A pillar of the community, a saint in the pews. I was the woman in the very front row of the church every single Sunday morning for almost an entire century. I never missed a service. I never forgot to tithe my 10%. I was the one the young mothers looked at and said, I want to be like her when I'm old. But as the monitor in that sterile white hospital room began to flatline, as the beeping grew slower and slower and slower, beep, 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 I didn't fear the warm golden arms of Jesus that I had sang about for decades. I didn't fear the peace that surpasses understanding. I felt a coldness, a terrifying, suffocating, hollow darkness that I never, ever expected to find. I stood there in a place between worlds, a place where your bank account, your titles, and your reputation simply do not exist. And I saw the gate. It was more beautiful than any sunrise I had seen in 100 years, blindingly bright, but it was closed. It was shut tight. I held up my hands. My 95 years of good deeds clutched in my shaking fingers like a shield I had carried my whole life. I showed them to the light. I shouted into the void with everything I had left in my soul. I said, "Look, I am here. I was faithful. I was a member of the choir. I was good. I was better than the rest." And then a voice spoke. It wasn't an angry voice. It didn't shout. It was worse. It was heartbroken. It was the sound of a father looking at a total stranger. It asked, "Who are you? Who are you?" In that split second, my entire heart shattered into a million pieces. I realized in the presence of that holy, piercing light that I had spent 100 years building a monument to myself, to my own ego, to my own religious shadow, and I had just painted the holy name of Jesus on the front of it to make it look acceptable to the world. I was a stranger at my own Father's house. I had the keys to the church hall, but I didn't have the key to the kingdom. Listen to me, please. I am begging you to stop what you are doing. Put down your phone. Stop your worrying. Just listen to the voice of a woman who almost lost eternity. I spent 34,000 days on this earth. Think about that number. 34,000 mornings where I woke up and had a choice. And most of them were utterly, tragically wasted. Not on sin, not on crime, but on goodness without God, on religion without a relationship. I remember being 20. I can still feel the heat of the sun on my skin from that summer in 1951. I was so full of life, so full of my own fire. I felt him calling me in the quiet, lonely hours of the night when the house was still. I felt a tug on my soul to truly follow him, to give him my youth, my beauty, my dreams, my everything. But I looked at my career, I looked at the glittering world, and I said, "Later, Lord, not today. I have so much to build first. I have so much time left. I'm young." I thought I was being smart. I thought I could give the world my best years and give God my leftovers. But you see, God doesn't want your leftovers. He wants your life. Then came my 30s and my 40s. Life moved like a high-speed train. I had children. I had a beautiful, expensive home with a white fence. I told myself I was serving him by being a good mother. But in reality, my children were my gods. My house was my temple. I spent my days polishing my life so it looked perfect from the street. I prayed, "Bless my plans, Lord," but I never once stayed quiet long enough to ask, "Lord, what are your plans?" I was so busy for God that I never actually looked at him. I went to the Bible studies to learn about him, but I never spent 5 minutes just being with him. I was a professional Christian, but a spiritual orphan. I spent my middle years decorating my life, making sure everyone thought I was holy, while my soul was starving for a single drop of real living water. Do you know how it feels to realize at 95 that you lived a lie? That you used the creator of the universe as a cosmic vending machine? I wanted his blessings. I wanted his protection. I wanted his heaven, but I didn't want him. I wanted his hands to give me things, but I never looked into his eyes to know who he was. And as I stood there at the edge of that darkness, I saw the truth of my good life. It was a prison made of my own pride. As I stood there, at the very edge of that cold, suffocating darkness, I saw the truth of my so-called good life. It was a prison, a beautiful, religious prison made of my own pride. I look back at my 95 years and I saw thousands of moments where Jesus was standing right there, in the room, in the quiet, in the pain. And every single time I gave him a ritual instead of my heart. I gave him a prayer from a book instead of a cry from my soul. Listen to me. Religion is the most dangerous drug on this planet. It makes you think you are safe while you are drowning. It masks the smell of death with the scent of candles and old hymnals. I saw my good deeds being weighed in that holy light, and they were like dry leaves in a hurricane. They had no weight because they weren't done out of love for him. They were done to prove to you and to myself that I was better than the sinners. I saw the faces of people I had judged. The man with the tattoos, the woman who had been divorced 3 times, the boy who couldn't stay sober. And in that light, I saw Jesus weeping over them with a love I had never felt, because they knew they were broken, and I was too perfect to be saved. The darkness was pulling at my feet. I felt the weight of nearly a century of almost surrendered, almost faithful, almost his. And in that final desperate second, when the monitor was a single flat line, I did something I had never done in 95 years of church going. I dropped my mask. I dropped my pride. I dropped my list of achievements. I fell on my face in my spirit, and I didn't pray a proper prayer. I didn't quote a psalm. I just screamed from the very bottom of my wasted life, I am empty, Jesus. I have nothing. I don't want your heaven. I just want you. And then the coldness simply vanished. The darkness shattered like glass. The light didn't ask for my resume. It didn't ask for my church attendance record or my family tree. It didn't ask why I waited until I was 95 to finally look at him. It just consumed me, because for the first time in a century, I wasn't performing. I wasn't a saint anymore. I was just a daughter, coming home to a father she had ignored for 95 years. That is the secret. That is the only secret to not being rejected by God. Stop trying to be good enough and start being desperate enough. He doesn't want your Christian performance. He wants the broken, messy, honest parts of you that you've been hiding behind your religion. You, whoever is hearing my voice right now, look at the clock on your wall. Listen to the ticking. Every single tick is a gift you are throwing away. I had 34,000 days, and I almost missed the only one that mattered. You might have 34 years left, or you might have 34 seconds. Stop playing church. Stop pretending that your good life is enough. If your heart stopped beating this very moment, would he recognize your soul? Or would he see a stranger who just used his name to feel respectable? Don't wait for the hospital bed. Don't wait for the flat line. Throw away the mask today. Turn around. He is standing right there, right behind you, waiting for you to stop working for him and start loving him. 95 years. Please don't show up at that gate with empty hands. Give him your heart while the blood is still warm in your veins. Just give it to him now.